Cannabis is a nearly billion-dollar business in Oregon, but after years of upward trajectory, the industry has hit a wall. 2022 marked the first time annual sales of cannabis products actually declined from over $1 billion in 2021 to $994 million last year. And two of the three largest dispensary chains in Oregon are in trouble legally and financially. Here to talk about the state of the industry is Hunter Neubauer, president of the Oregon Cannabis Association. It's the largest cannabis group in the state. Mr. Neubauer, thanks for being on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's start with the big news this week. Chalice Farms, the third largest dispensary chain in the state, they asked Multnomah County Circuit Court to place 5 of its subsidiaries in receivership. Did you see this coming?
You know, I had an inkling that that was going to take place. They've been going through some struggles for quite some time.
And what are those struggles?
It's really difficult to run a business when we're fighting things such as archaic policy, as 280E, and overregulation and overtaxation. It's also very difficult when you don't have an eye or an ear on the marketplace. If leadership isn't involved on a daily basis, you can lose sight as to what's happening.
What does this say about the state of the industry? Where are we with cannabis in Oregon right now?
It's the most fragile it's ever been. It's really, really tough place to be operating in right now.
And why is that?
We are in our second cycle of supply and demand issues. We had one back in 18-19 where oversupply forced the market to drop significantly. Prices fell to the floor. And in 21, we started another session of market supply issues. And so this round is worse, actually, than last time.
We do have an overabundance of supply in Oregon. Demand is not keeping pace with the supply. So what's the fallout from that? What are you seeing happening industry-wide because of these dynamics?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we started out with a really great framework for the industry. We had no limits on the number of licenses. We had no limit on money. And the idea was whoever wants to come be part of the cannabis industry should have that opportunity. And that was a great place to start. Unfortunately, what happened is the federal government didn't allow us to progress. We don't have interstate commerce. We don't have banking. We aren't regulated fairly, and we're taxed unfairly. And so now there is a consolidation phase that's going to be taking place. There's a lot of mom and pop, small to medium-sized businesses and large businesses that are looking at shutting down because of that.
And at this point, what does that say for the future of the industry? How can we make the readjustment?
Yeah, absolutely. The positive side of this is that the folks that are still around in the Oregon cannabis culture and industry are phenomenal at what they do. It's forced people to innovate, to become more efficient, and create high-quality products to be able to compete. It is by far the most competitive marketplace in the country, I believe. We're going to see a lot of people shut down. We're going to see less retailers, less production, and we'll see the market recover, most likely get too big again, and then go through a wave of consolidation over the next 5 years.
Well, Oregon could turn this into a competitive advantage the situation, if we were allowed to sell across state lines. So is there any chance, any movement of that happening?
We haven't seen a lot of movement on the federal side. Fortunately, we've seen other states adopt legalization. So California and Washington have also adopted legislation that allows for interstate commerce. It would be ideal if we could start doing that. For folks like us who are vertically integrated, we'd love to have a store in Illinois, in New York, in California, in Colorado, in Nevada, and Arizona, where we could ship our products that we create here from phenomenal growing practices and a great team of people to our stores in other states. It just makes sense. Unfortunately, there's outdated policy that doesn't allow us to do so.
Yeah, you talked about this. Another obstacle being the banking system doesn't recognize cannabis as a legal business across the country. So it makes it a cash business, which is another issue. Is our congressional delegation in Oregon making any inroads in that arena?
No, and you know, they could. We could look at a scenario where we have a state bank. It's a significant public safety issue. As you've heard, I'm sure there's a lot of break-ins, there's a lot of theft, and we're a target. We've got a big target on our back because we end up having to go pay our state sales tax in Salem in a duffel bag full of cash. The unfortunate part is it goes into that cash machine and then into a U.S. bank bag or whatever bank bag the state decides to use. And so we're at a significant disadvantage from just traditional banking resources, but also being able to raise money. We have to deal with private individuals or small family offices where our rate to borrow or to invest money is far above what the standard is.
Talk about, barrels of cash or bushels of cash. The second largest dispensary chain in Oregon, LaMotta, they got in trouble for cash, not paying its state taxes, number one, and then contributing big money to campaigns, especially to Democratic politicians. This is the scandal that led to Shemia Fagan's resignation as Secretary of State. So you actually replaced the LaMotta lawyer, Amy Margulis, as head of this association. What's your take on the LaMotta saga?
You know, it's really unfortunate. I think it really points to the system that we have to operate in. Government and politics is a place where you have to pay to play. And if you don't have lobbyists fighting for the changes that you need, you really can't get anything done. And that's unfortunate. We've seen it very difficult for the cannabis industry to make any moves from a regulatory or legislative agenda because of the fact that we don't have the same resources that other industries do. Amy Margulis is a phenomenal lawyer, and she's represented hundreds of us. It's unfortunate the situation that has taken place, but the cannabis industry in Oregon wouldn't be here without her help. She helped start the Oregon Cannabis Association and has been a phenomenal ally for all of us in this state, amongst other states.
Yeah, as we've mentioned, and we've covered a lot of the categories, this is a tough time for the industry. But we are known across the country favorably in terms of quality and supply, of course. We've got plenty of supply, and what we have is thought to be good stuff. So, I mean, where do we go from here?
Well, I think if you look at the history of cannabis in the United States, Oregon and parts of Northern California have supplied the country for a very long time. The culture that's here, the knowledge, the experience, the education surrounding cannabis, and the growing, the processing, distribution, and retail now of the plant is far beyond because of the competitive nature of our marketplace. It forces you to get better. It forces you to create high quality products, whether they're grown organically or with other methodologies. Every penny matters to be able to survive. And so I think what we'll see is eventually when we have some sort of shift in federal policy, it kind of go back to where it was, where Oregon can provide significant volumes of cannabis for the rest of the country and other states where it's legal and provide more jobs. The thing that we don't really get to talk about is the hundreds of millions of dollars that we've contributed to the state, the tens of thousands of jobs that we've created, and the culture that's surrounding it. It's a lot of really, really good people that continue to have to fight an uphill battle that is just unfair. We're still treated as though we are an illegal business, yet we are legal.
Hunter Nubara, thank you very much for joining me on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you very much, Ken. Appreciate it.
Interesting discussion.
Yeah, thank you.